Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Truth Podcast. I'm your host today, Neekrobinsonn, as always. Shout out to Lifewater, real quick, one time shameless plug, you dig, but shout out to Lifewater, shout out to the pH balance. But anyways, today I'm back with another guest, and I wanted to get on a good friend of mine, an old friend, my homeboy 11, aka Kevin Ha. What's going on with you, brother?
What's up, man? We're just out here living, doing the thing, dealing with life. We're on the Truth Podcast, man. We out here to tell the truth.
Kevin, bro, I appreciate you just sacrificing. What is today? Tuesday?
Wednesday. It's
Wednesday,
yeah.
Sacrificing your Wednesday night with me, man, and just having a conversation. And shout out to Kenny for hooking us up with his room and shit. It's lit, bro. We doing it out of the rooms and stuff. Get it. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, back with another guest today, and it's 11. So, Kev11. Before we get into everything today, brother, who is 11 today? How old are you? Kind of give the people that don't know you just a little bit about yourself real quick, brother.
So, 11 is basically, I was trying to come up with something like a name or like a stage name that kind of like made sense to me. And that would like kind of roll off the tongue. So I'm like, it sounds corny, but like Kevin11, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Because I always try to aim for the best, aim to try to do the best that I can in everything that I do. So it's like 11 out of 10, that's kind of like a lifestyle that I live, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, I'm 19 years old, born and raised in Des Moines, Iowa, graduated from Hoover High School, went to DMAC for 1 year and dropped out and pursued my dream of being a graphic designer.
Snaps to that, man. I didn't really know the meaning behind the 11 thing, bro. That's super dope. I know we'll get into all the poetry stuff. I'm going to bring that up throughout the podcast and everything, but that's kind of where I knew you from, and that's dope that you kind of still have that background through your name and everything. But the alter ego thing is kind of dope, though. I feel like that's kind of like your alter ego. Like, you can be Kevin Ha, but you can also be 11, you know what I mean? That's kind of dope to like have an artist's name. That's kind of what I do with like
and
all that,
it's kind of like one and the same, like Kevin Ha and Kevin11. I just feel like I'm just being myself, like it's just like branding myself, because like I'm in the shit for the art, what I'm saying? Like I was sketching, I was in all the art classes when I was younger and stuff like that, but I'm like, like growing up, I'm 19 years old now, I'm gonna get myself out there, I gotta brand myself, so 11 really fit that, I think.
I can dig it, man. That's super dope. Kev, let's get into just the backstory. I'm going to ask you just some questions about, but what was it like for your experience growing up? Kind of just tell people that, like, what your experience was like growing up, like through Uber and all that stuff and everything like that.
Yeah, so I've been in this house, I would say, for the better part of like 15, 16 years now. I turned 20 this year, so it will be 16 years this year.
Nice, brother. Nice.
That we've, lived at this home. Growing up was really cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, we had our neighbors, that literally live like right there. They have, a bunch of kids too, so we were just all, we were like the kids on the block type shit,
just be
what I'm saying?
It, bro.
We just be kicking it, eating Krispy Kreme donuts, looking out for like bugs and shit like that, just like fucking around, just doing whatever,
little kid
man.
Shit, man, that's so
little
crazy.
Kid shit, like everything was cool, at least until, what was it? I was 7 years old. My parents started noticing like there's a lot of shit like going on with my like physical body and stuff. Like I kept falling over. I was kind of like walking a little bit weirdly compared to the other kids and stuff like that. So for you guys that don't know, I have Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Basically that means my body doesn't produce proteins, right? So my body doesn't produce the proteins that help your muscles grow. So it's kind of like a degenerative disease. And it was like at 7 years old that I was diagnosed with it. So around that time, it really took a toll on my parents and stuff like that. It didn't really take a toll on like my siblings or this and that. We're kids, we don't really care about shit. You know what I'm saying? We just try to be as kid as we can, as childish as we can. But my parents, I think it was just like too much for them to stay here. Even, so we moved to Connecticut for about 2.5 years to try to see, if there's any cure or if there's any like kind of treatment out there. Unfortunately, there isn't no known cure right now. It's just a bunch of taking medicine, I go to Iowa City once every year to just kind of do like exams and stuff, you know, like EKGs, you know, like cardiovascular type shit, you know, x-rays, looking into my body, making sure it's functioning well. Yeah, I mean, it didn't really take a toll on me until like I got my first wheelchair. I was about 9 years old when that happened. They're like, listen, Kev, like, we understand that this is like really hard for you to deal with and stuff like that, yada yada yada. And like, you know, when I got that chair, I like neglected it type shit. You know, like I didn't want to be around it. I didn't want to sit in it. I didn't want to look at it. I'm like, dude, that's not me. That's not who I am. And then eventually, like as the years went by, you know, 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, 13, you know, my body started to get a little bit more weaker, and I couldn't hold myself up anymore. So they said that when I was 10 years old that I should have been in a wheelchair full time, but I was still able to walk.
Wow.
I was in a wheelchair full time until like 14 years old, so that's like freshman year of high school.
That's crazy.
So, you know, like, just dealing with this kind of, you know, illness, you know, it's a little bit tough, you know, like, you gotta rely on hella people, you know, to just, like, do shit for you that you can't do physically. Emotionally, that takes a toll on you as well, you know, like, that just hit my parents out of nowhere, you know, like, my son, you know, my firstborn son is, like, he has this thing, he's not, like, fucked up or whatever, but, like, he has this, like, illness, you know, he should be normal, quote unquote. You know,
I feel like that's a hard thing to kind of struggle with too, man, because it's like, you know, a lot of people out there, like they're not going through what you're going through, so it's like it's hard to relate that with anybody, but I feel like you do have like a core group of like family, friends, you know, that just look after you, and I think that that's super key to having that. You know, like I've seen, like, you know, you struggle with like things like depression and all that, and it's like, you know, I feel like I can relate to that to a certain extent, because, like, you know, we all go through some messed up shit in our lives, but you know, you have this sickness and this illness, and it's not even your fault, it's not your parents' fault, it's nobody's fault, you know, it's kind of the cards that you were dealt. But like you inspire me like so much, and I don't even know if you know this, but like you inspire me so much, because it's like I can't relate to that, but it's like I respect the hell out of you, and I respect like that you're still trying to be somebody, be the best person that you can be, regardless like of the like the handicap, accessibility, all that stuff, you know, like you're still trying to be just a teenager in America, man, and I respect you, and I don't look at you any different than anybody else does.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and I think that it's key that, like, you know, you've surrounded yourself with like this core group of friends and family members, like with the people that we met through Movement 515 and everything else that we'll get into, but you know, I think having that like support and that backbone is like key to kind of being able to, you know, you could always reach out to me, like I always like hit you up and I'm like, yo, you need to talk, like let's talk about some shit, you know. So I think that it's good that you do have that support system.
And here's the thing with like everything that you just said too, like I try not to compare myself or like my story to anybody else's, you know, like you said, everybody is different, but the thing that I can really respect from everybody is that we don't go through the same shit, but we're going through some shit. We understand what it means to feel pain. We know what it is like to feel love and all this and all that, all these different emotions, you know, anxiety and depression. There's a fucking epidemic in America, dude.
It's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy.
You know, definitely like my being in a wheelchair, you know, that has contributed to like my anxiety and my depression, especially like this past week, you know, it's just like really bad. You know, where it's just like people don't respect my boundaries or whatever, or like they just see me as like, not as like a commodity, but just like a circus act almost, you know, like, oh, he has a motorized wheelchair that can do a bunch of these like normal functions, you know. But I try to tell myself that like, listen, they don't get what you're going through, you know. They're curious, you know, they just don't understand, you know. It's ignorance, but ignorance is bliss, you know. It's just
but
like,
do you feel like those people, do they ask in like certain ways? Because I think that there is like a particular way that you could ask somebody out of respect, you know. Like I feel like I know how to ask you about some certain things, like, you know, I'm asking you out of respect. I don't know if that's because we're friends or if it's just like, you know, I'm genuinely curious, but I know like what to say and what not to say. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Like, it just really depends on who you are. Like, if you're
Yeah.
a stranger and, like, you know, it's all about cadence and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, if you come up to me like, yo, why the fuck you in a wheelchair, bro? Or, like, you know, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, I'm not gonna want to talk to you.
Yeah.
But if you don't know me that well and you're just like, hey, like, I'm really curious as to what's going on, I'll absolutely, like,
Yeah.
I want you to do that. I want
Well, and I
people to
feel
ask
like-
me and stuff like that, you
Yeah.
know, what's going on, instead of being like, oh, what's up, Crip? Or, like, what's up, Cripple? You know, this and
Yeah.
that. Like, I had that shit happen to me a lot in middle school. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like,
Bro, middle school was oh my god, like I
bro,
couldn't even
middle school is
imagine.
crazy though, you know,
Bro.
because like nobody gave a fuck,
Yeah,
dude.
bro,
You know,
everybody
like,
was ruthless, bro.
Yeah.
Could you imagine like growing up now in like the social media generation? Like we had it obviously in middle school, but it was like I feel like now I would probably be doing some mess up shit. Like I'd probably get banned from Twitter, like all this shit. Like if I was acting the way that I was acting in middle school now online and everything. But I don't know, man. I think that you rise like an interesting point though about like middle school. Like everybody's just ruthless at that time, and it's like nobody has respect for boundaries. Like people just tell it how it is, like which is okay to a certain extent, because it's like, you know, you don't want this to define who you are. You're not trying to let it define who you are. You don't try to let oppression or anything that is going on in your life define who you are, because
we're not minor, bro. We major out
exactly,
here. You know, we're not like I don't like hearing that we're the like minority or this and that. We're the fucking majority, dude.
Exactly.
Like white
bro.
people are like, you know, like they're being outnumbered, you know, as we speak, you know, as times go by, and that's not to like diss them or anything. That's just straight facts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So going back to 11 out of 10, think major, never minor. You know what I'm saying? Like try to see how much more you can get out of something than like, oh, this is the least I can get from it. You know?
That's beautiful, bro. That's a beautiful message too. How do you feel like your experience, like, do you feel like it's gotten better over the years though? Like you said that you were 9 years old when you were like officially like wheelchair bound, basically, right? And
no, so 9 years old was when I got my first chair.
Okay.
But I didn't need it all the time, and I
Okay.
didn't really use a wheelchair full time until I was like 14.
Okay, gotcha.
Mind you, that's 4 years after, you know, kind of like the
doctors
checkpoint, or like what the doctors say. And I
Gotcha.
have a theory, actually. I feel like doctors tell you only have a certain time to live, so when you
Yeah.
beat that shit, it's all
like,
fun and games, it's all happy and shit like
I
that,
can
you
dig
know.
that. Mhm.
So that's kind of my theory. You
Yeah.
know, like it's whatever. But
That's crazy.
I would say like physically, yeah, it definitely has gotten like worse and stuff like that. Like I don't have the strength to, like I can't put my hands up in the air and stuff like that. You know, I can't like change my own shirt as effectively as I could. You know, when I was like younger. Like obviously when you're younger, you have a lot more energy and stuff like that. And like just I think about it almost every day. It's like, whoa, like I could walk like a fucking mile, you know, like I would be extremely exhausted, but I could do it, you know. I could walk, you know, hours in the mall and stuff like that, you know, even though I was like walking weirdly, you know. Like I was always insecure about that, but the fact that I was able to walk knowing I was on borrowed time was what made me, you know, take every step that I took. And I would say too, like mental health wise, I would say it's definitely taking like a lot more of a toll on me, like especially like in high school and stuff. Like sophomore year is just really bad because my homie Ty had passed away. And it's just like I didn't go to school for like 2 weeks or whatever, and then when I went, it was just like I didn't want to be there, you know. Like I wasn't there, I wasn't present or anything. I just wanted to go home, you know, listen to like Kendrick Lamar, like Earl Sweatshirt or whatever, you know, like just sad shit, and just be like, yo, I need to manifest whatever the fuck I'm feeling so I can like learn to like deal with it, you know. And like progressing from when I was like 15 to like 19 now, like there's still a lot of shit that I need to work on. There's still like a lot of things that like I can be doing better for myself, but like the experiences that I've gone through in my whole life have brought me to this point. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I think that you raise like an interesting point, you know, like especially with like the music thing, relating it back to when your homie passed away and everything. Like, I think that I used to do that a lot back in like probably like junior year, give or take. Like, I don't know what it is about music, but if you're putting on like some sad vibe stuff, it's like it's intensifying this sadness, and then once the song like and once you've kind of like let the sadness run its course, it's like you feel so much better. I don't know why that is. It's like, you know, you're engulfing yourself inside of this sadness, but at the end of it, it kind of just, it feels like you've let it go to a certain extent. And then I think I've kind of progressed like 12th grade. I think that I was definitely writing a lot of poetry, as were you at the time, and then now I feel like it's just, I do it through like this podcast, or, you know, just talking to friends or family members, you know, and just talking out my feelings.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like something that you do a lot, like to kind of keep yourself in this like positive mindset. Like, you know, I think that that's like the biggest thing that is hard for everybody to kind of master, is like just staying positive, even though when like the things around you are complete shit, you know, and it's like we're always going through like this, that, and the third. Like you've said that you've had like a terrible week, but it's like, you know, you kind of keep this good head on your shoulders. And like, how do you feel like you take it to the extent of like just trying to get through life and everything? Like, how do you
You just gotta fucking work, dude. Like, I mentioned to you earlier that I did have a bad week and stuff like that. Particularly just dealing with like anxiety, you know, with my whole wheelchair thing. I was working this whole week, you know what I'm saying? Like, as fucking like upset and sad as I was, you know, I'm like, I gotta pump this out, I gotta pump that out, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, you know. There's people paying me for what I do, you know what I'm saying? They're like seeking me out for my work, and it's like, holy fuck, you know, that's so humbling.
Yeah.
That's so crazy, you know, that somebody trusts me enough to like, you know, create a certain vibe for their like mixtape or whatever, like their flyer. They need me to do something like that's for the city, that's for the community and shit like that, especially like through movement 515. Like shout out to Rollins and Lang, you know,
Shout
they got
out
me
to 'em, you dig?
they got me under a contract. I don't know, like, I'm not gonna
super dope, bro.
go into any details or whatever, you know, it's not like super secretive, but like they're the ones who like really believed in me when I started doing this graphic design shit, you know. Like I was like, I'm gonna do this for free because I love y'all, and they're like, nah, like we're gonna pay you for this shit. And I'm like, yo, like this goes back to the youth, this goes back to the community. When people see that, you know, they're like, I wonder who made that and stuff like that, you know. Like,
that's a beautiful thing,
and
bro.
I'll have like some of my friends Snapchatting me, like some of the, like Kenny, you know, he's still in high school, and I have like a few friends that are like seniors and shit, you know, so they'll be like sending me Snapchats of my poster in their school, and I'm like, yo, like what? Like, that's fucking insane.
That's just
you
so
know?
dope,
like, that's
too.
just...
Like, to see, like, other people, like, validating your work, you know, and then especially, like, shout out to Rollins and Lang, obviously, but, you know, like, having those people around you that, like, just believe in you 110%, I think is something that is key to just having in life. And, you know, especially if you're struggling through shit, you know, they're almost like these, like, extra set of parents, you know. That's kind of how I felt about
I call them my white parents, honestly. You know, like they're like,
I respect that,
honestly, you know, because like they've taken me to performances, you know, they've like fed me and stuff like that, you know, they've given me space, they've allowed me to cry with them, they've allowed me to just be myself, you know. And it's really rare that I run into people like that nowadays.
That is an interesting thing, because like I feel like I don't meet a lot of people like that now, you know, like especially like out of high school. It's like I'm not seeing like everybody on a day-to-day basis, and I think that that's something that I do miss about high school, you know. It's just like having those people that were in your everyday life and just sitting down and having everyday conversations with them like all the time. It was kind of like, it's something that I do miss, because like we were in the youth board together and shit, and you know, just like I always look back at like the Snapchat memories and shit. I don't know if that comes up on your phone and all that, but like seeing all of like the like we just had like the promo stuff that came up on my phone a couple of days ago, and now there was like a Snapchat of me and you on there, and I was like, damn, that's so crazy. And then we hit each other up for the podcast and stuff, so it's like life works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, like I look back at those photos, bro, and I'm just like, damn, that was 2 years ago. Like, what the fuck?
That shit, you know, just like moves, bro. Life is too fucking short, man, and I think that that's something that I've learned like over these past couple of years. Like, you know, that life is way too short, and it's like I want to reach out to everybody that I can and just you know, just check up on them and just say like, hey bro, like how you doing? Hey, how's it going? Like I haven't talked to you in a while. You know, I was just thinking about you the other day, yada yada. So it's like, that's what I tell like all my friends. It's like, don't be afraid to reach out to anybody. I tell that to people that listen to the podcast all the time. You know, it's just like, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody, because it's like, you never know what somebody's going through. And you know, just having a simple conversation with somebody, it can just go a long way.
Yeah, and like no expectations too. Like if you don't hold any expectations on those like conversations, then it's a lot more better, you know, because like I think what people do is when they hit up other people, like somebody that they haven't talked to in a long time, is like, I want you to say this thing, I want you to say that thing, yada yada yada. But it's like, you can't do that, you know, because you don't know, like, you don't know 100% what somebody is going through in their life, or what they want to share and this and that. You can't take it personal, man.
Yeah.
You can't.
And I think that, like, you know, it sucks because, like, a lot of people don't hit you up until like something like either really positive happens or something really negative happens, and that kind of sucks, you know, because it's like, I appreciate them reaching out and like wishing their good lucks and all that stuff, but it's like, to a certain extent, like, it's like you should be reaching out at like random times, because I feel like that just means a lot more, you know.
See, and then people. It just goes back to that point of not having expectations, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just gotta do your own thing. You just gotta do the art shit just because you like doing the art shit. Or you can do it just because you want to make money too. I could give a fuck.
Exactly.
You know, like, this is my day job. You know, this is how I help pay the bills and stuff like that. That's the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've been in art class for as long as I can remember. You know, I do it for expression, freedom of expression. But at the same time, logistically speaking, art is a business. Yeah. Music is a business. Podcasts, you know, like YouTube. This is like fucking going through YouTube. YouTube money, you know, as they say. Yeah. Like, you know, you just gotta do what you gotta do, you know, for the sake of doing it. Basically, you know, like, is it gonna better me? You know, is somebody gonna feel this or whatever? It doesn't matter if people feel it or not. Regardless, somebody is gonna feel it anyways. Yeah. You know.
Do you feel like, how do you feel like you balance? Because obviously, like, in the first couple years, you said you've been doing graphic designs for about 4 years, give or take. But do you feel like during those, like, 4 couple years before you started taking it serious in this past year, do you feel like you were trying to do it just because you love to do it? Yeah. Versus, like, now you kind of are working with clients and everything. How do you feel like, do you feel like a lot of people, they tell you, like, what they want, this, like, type of specific thing, and then you kind of work around it with them? Like, how do you feel like that, like, adjust your workflow with that?
So I would just say, like, I actually miss, like, the beginning stages of you know, my graphic design career, if you can call it that. You know, I kind of started off in like 10th grade, I would say, you know, and then I would just be in the room, you know, just doing like all kinds of projects and shit like that, you know, that, like, I felt like I had more creative freedom in a sense, where it was like, yo, this may not be like the best kind of work or whatever, like, you know, there's definitely a lot more tools that I've learned, you know, over the years. Like, I would not touch Photoshop for like the longest time, because I was scared of it, you know, I was scared of like learning it, so I'm like, I'm just do everything Illustrator, and that's more like vector based shit. It's more like shapey kind of things, where it's like Photoshop, it's literally called Photoshop. You can use pictures in there.
Bro, Photoshop is like a different fucking animal. Like, I barely use it, but, you know, if I want to like add some crazy shit into some photos and stuff, like, it's a little bit different. And I've been trying to get into the graphic design stuff, but I feel like you're just the king of this shit. So
nah,
it's like,
I wouldn't even say that I'm the king of this shit, because like, I look up to so many people. Like, shout out to Christian Elwood and like Borg, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're fucking insane, you know what I'm saying? Bro. You know, like, I would never consider myself the best by any means.
But I feel like, you know, whenever I see your work, though, I can tell that it's yours to a certain extent, which I think is like, that's very key too, is like, you know, you found your own style and you found your own lane, and it's like, you know, I think that whenever I see it, I'm like, holy fuck. Like, it's like something about the colors, the way that it pops, and, you know, you've probably got way more just mastery to the shit that I do.
Yeah, so just like going, like, if I can put it simply, you know, like, when I didn't have an identity, I had a lot more fun, I would say. Yeah. But now that I have an identity, you know, I've learned a lot more shit, and like, I'm definitely making a lot more better shit. You know what I'm saying? But it definitely does get kind of frustrating, like, when people don't come to me with ideas, you know. Like, I would rather you come to me with like a photo at least, you know, and be like, you know, you can do this, and I want this vision, because like when I like do something and like get free or, you know, just go crazy, I may like it, but they're like, oh, this is not the vision that I had for it, you know. So I encourage people, you know, like if they're gonna come to me for artwork, it's like, give me some ideas, give me a direction at least that I can go in, because that's artwork for other people, you know, as much as it is for me, it's for other people. Yeah, first and foremost.
I feel that, bro.
They're paying me. I gotta get them what they want.
Yeah, and I think that that's something it's a little bit tougher, especially on the graphic design part of it. Like, obviously, like, me and you are a little bit different. Like, I do a lot of photography and video work, so it's like, it's mainly of them, and they can see it, like, right off the bat, but, like, nobody's, like, breathing over your shoulder, like, watching you create your artwork, you know? So it's like, when you come back with the finished product, it's like, they may not like it, but, you know, it's like, you didn't tell me where to go with it, so it's like hard. How do you feel like you go about telling them, like, you know, like, this is what I thought was dope, I don't know if you think it's dope, yada yada? How do you feel like that process goes for you?
I'm probably a lot different than like other people, you know, like I don't want to compare myself like really to anybody, but like I feel like Christian has just been doing this for like a really long time. Like, you can tell through his work that, like, yo, like, he knows what the fuck he's doing. Bork, he knows what the fuck he's doing, you know? So, like, right now, I don't feel like I'm really established yet to the point where I can be, like, 100% confident in what I do. So I communicate with them, you know? I just communicate with people openly, you know? Like, hey, like, this is what I'm doing so far. Do you like it? Do you need me to change anything? You know what I'm saying? Like, I should definitely be charging a lot more for that, you know, to be fucking honest with you. But, like, I gotta get something in my pockets, you know, and, like, we can make it work. You know, if we can make it work, we can make it work.
I feel that, man.
You know? So it's not really, like, it's not, like, super frustrating, but, I mean, it's just what it is.
How long does it usually take you to pump out a project?
It really depends, dude. Because, like, when somebody hits me up for, like, a project, I'll have, like, a vague idea of what I want to do in my mind. But then when I, like, actually get to it, it's like, fuck. Like, I gotta, like, redo this whole thing, you know, type shit. It takes me... It just really depends. I can knock shit out in, like, a day. Like, so, like, about a year ago, I was, like, really into, like, photo editing and stuff like that, and I would just do that off my phone.
No shit.
It would take me, like, an hour, 2 hours. My arms would start hurting type shit, you know, because I'm, like, I should be asleep type shit, but, like, you know, like, little edits like that on my phone would take me not too much time at all, and then, like, some projects, like, dude, the really only reason why it takes me so long to do them is because, like, I procrastinate a lot. Yeah. And it's just, like, I want to do all these other things. I'm like, oh, I have my MacBook here, but at the same time, my PS4's there, and I gotta kill shit. You know, and, like, Call of Duty or whatever, you know, I'll hold it off for a little bit.
Well, I feel like that's that artist brain type thing. Like, I feel like I have that a lot. Like, I'll be doing something, like, I'll be doing homework, and I'm, like, thinking of, like, all the shit that's, like, going through my mind, and I'm, like, trying to, like, multitask and, like, write down notes, like, so I can come back to it later. Like, if I would go through my notes, I would, like, have so many random just ideas in different folders and shit. It's just, it's crazy.
A pattern that I've noticed, really, is just, like, when I was doing shit for free, I would take all the time in the world, you know? Like, you're not paying me, whatever, this and that. No rush or whatever, you know, so I'm just like, take as much fucking time as I need, you know, it'll be like a week or so, and then they will pay me, and then, you know, it's cool and all, but, like, if you pay me, like, I'll try to get, like, if you pay me first, I'll try to get you in, like, 1 to, like, 3 days, or whatever, just because I, like, you know, I want to perfect the craft, you know, I wanted to make it look as nice as possible, and stuff like that, you know, it's, like, very minor shit that I need to change, but, like, even if it is a word, or, like, just using a font, I don't think people understand how difficult it is. Or, like, how challenging it is. Like, you gotta get the right size. You know, you gotta line shit up. And I'm very OCD as it is, you know? So it's like, if I notice, like, something is not centered or something is off, I'm just like, fuck. I will, like, work on it for, like half an hour almost, you know, just on words.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, there's something about, like, especially if you're doing things like flyers or, like, event catalog type shits, it's like, you know, you have to have this visual that's appealing to the eyes. So, like, if it's way over in the corner, you're gonna be like, oh shit, like, what is that? Like, that, those colors pop, like, I want to go over there and check it out. But then you also, like, have to make the date like of the event so big, then you have to do like who's putting it on. Like there's just a lot of shit that goes into graphic design that I feel like a lot of people don't really understand. And like, you know, that I don't know if you worry about like the placement on your pages.
Dude, that is like
stuff,
the number one thing that I stress out about
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to like doing flyers. So like the most recent one I did was the Des Moines Teen Poetry Slam for BNV.
Yeah.
Dude, I literally spent all day just trying to fucking like do placements and stuff like that, and trying to make things like different, but at the same time, you know, make them the same, if that makes sense, you know. And then like there's like some shit that's like hard to read, but then I told myself like, yo, like I want people to really dive into what I'm making and like try to like dissect what I'm doing, you know, like not only just because like you can't fucking see it, you know, because you're like blind or whatever, but like I want you to really, you know, take the time to understand my work and understand the art, you know, like why did I pick these colors, you know, because they contrast well, they work well together, you know, this and that.
I feel that, bro. I respect that. We'll get into some other questions here for you though, brother. Tell me about like your experience through Movement 515. We've obviously been touching on it a lot, but what was kind of like your first experience with them? I don't know if we've ever talked about this,
so
like what got you put on with them?
Like I had moved back from whatchamacallit. I had moved back from Connecticut in like 5th grade. So I didn't really go to school in Des Moines until like 6th grade or whatever. You know, my cousin actually, she's like the very first like member of Movement 515. She just kind of told me about this like poetry group, and then like she would tell me about Mr. Rollins and Miss Lang when they were at Harding and stuff. Like, not a lot of people know that they used to work at Harding and stuff like that. And she would just tell me about this awesome class and these awesome teachers that she had. You know, this support system, this poetry thing. I'm like, what the fuck is poetry? You know what I'm saying? But I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was intriguing because like my cousin was doing it. I'm like, yo, she's doing it, then I want to do it type shit. But I didn't really like get into all of that, you know, not until like I would say 10th grade. My very first show that I went to was Teen Summit 2015.
That was in 10th grade?
I think so. I think it was in 10th grade. Like I had just met Rollins outside of the Come and Go Theater. That's when they had it in there. I think that was
literally the same time that I got bought into all of it too. That's so crazy. I didn't know if that was your first event too. That's
so I saw her perform and I'm just like, the intensity, you know, the passion, and everybody giving props, you know, this community that I, you know, was feeling around me. I'm like, I need to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that, you know. So I just kind of talked to Rollins and Lang, you know, as time went by, and I'm like, yo, I want to be in your class. I want to be in urban leadership. You know, of course I heard about it from word of mouth. And I was hooked, bro. I'm like, yo, I've never had this shit in my life before. We're talking about real life issues, and you know, it made me question like my habits too, you know, like should I be using this particular word that I should not be fucking using? There's your answer. You know, if you feel uncomfortable, there's your answer. You know, it helped me challenge like myself and other people in a bunch of things, you know.
Well, and I think that that's something that I really enjoyed about you know, going into the Teen Summit event and just, you know, feeling the vibes that were just out there at the time. Like, it was like something that I was just not accustomed to. Like, I was obviously like, I knew about like politics and all this stuff, but it was like, whoa, like there's actually so many people that are doing the same things at the time. And it was like, holy shit. And they're like spitting poetry. Like, I think that I went to a graffiti class that year, and I was like, wow, like this shit is like so dope, and like the people around are just all loving, and they're just like always uplifting you and everything. And I was just like, okay, I gotta get into this. So I did the same thing, just talked to him, and then got into urban leadership the following year, and that was kind of it. And then I feel like urban leadership was like something that was super dope for me to have, because it was like, I feel like I was surrounded by people that were very close-minded, and they just like didn't understand the things that were going on in the world, and I kind of wanted to be like that bridge to the gap of that, you know, and just like tell my friends, like, you know, it's not cool for you to like be saying like gay slang terms and like all this stuff all the time, you know, like that's just not cool, you know, and like using one of the F words and all that, and just like learning to, you know, just talk to like women differently, like talk to them with respect, and like, you know, there was just so much stuff that I was like, holy shit, like I had no idea that I was using all this stuff at the time. But you know, I'm willing to put that out in the universe, and you know, like everybody's human, everybody's probably been there. Like if everybody had like their old Twitter accounts up and everything, like,
oh man,
there's been some dirt that's been coming up, like with the Kevin Hart shit, you know, like how he was talking about like gay folks, I think like a couple months ago, or like way back in like, I think it was like 2009 or something like that. I don't know, man. It's like, I'm willing to, like, you know, accept my faults and, like, you know, try to be this better person. And I think that Movement 515 and Urban Leadership just kind of opened that door for me. And I think that was super dope.
Urban Leadership for me is just kind of like learning to unlearn some things, you know, toxic behaviors and how to talk to people and stuff like that. How to talk to yourself. Honestly, you know, like this self-defeating talk that I used to, you know, that I still give myself sometimes. You know, like you're not shit. You know, this is not good or whatever. You're not like a decent human being. But like all of that is obviously not true. You know, so really like through Urban Leadership, I was able to teach myself like self-love and stuff like that, and what that really means. You know, like cutting off negative or like toxic behaviors, but at the same time being able to confront them. I saw something online where it's just like, you know, this false idea of like self-love, just like, oh, that's not serving me, it's toxic, whatever, blah blah blah. No, it may not be serving you, but it's something fucking important. So like take care of that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that it's important to, like, you know, master the idea of self-love. Not only that, but also to spread love and nothing but love to the entire universe. You know, it's like, you know, there's so much hate around us in every different way, shape, or form that you can think of. So it's like, if you can literally just take a second out of your day, maybe just compliment somebody, just say like, hey, I like those shoes, bro. That right there could like just change the course of somebody's life by just saying like one little positive thing about their appearance, yada yada, and just, you know, making people feel validated, like just spreading positivity instead of saying like, oh man, like your clothes are whack, like yada yada. It's like, what the fuck is the point of that, you know? And same thing goes for like all the oh my god, I'm drawing a blank, like all the things that we talked about in Urban Leadership. You know, it just kind of, it made me value all these different people and all these different walks of life, you know. And it's like, I want to learn more about everybody's, like, I want to respect all people in the ways that I can, regardless if they even hate the things that I'm doing. Like, I want to just take the time and just have a conversation with them and, you know, try to like change their minds about some things, or like, you know, get them to realize that what they're saying is kind of marginalizing some groups of people, and that's just not cool, and that's not the way that you should be living your life either. So, but I think that there is kind of like something that I've been struggling with lately though, is like, you know, I think that it's not right for some of us to be like saying like we can only think this way, because then I think that that's just as wrong as the hateful comments that people say, because it's like you're forcing it down somebody's throat, you know. Because like I respect that everybody has their own opinion, even though it's not gonna match mine, and I think that that's something that I've tried to like take a step back from. And it's like, you know, I think that you should always be putting out positive energy into the world, but it's like, you know, if they don't want to do it, then I'm not going to force it to them, you know? So I think that that's something that I've been struggling with a little bit, but it's kind of tough to kind of figure that out.
It's just like, just be 100% with your feelings, you know what I mean? Like, not every day's going to be a happy day, you know what I'm saying? But like, I seen my mom this morning, you know, and I like smiled at her, and like that really like changed the vibe of my whole day. You know, but that was like real, that was genuine. I felt that, you know. But like there's some mornings where I just wake up and it's like, I don't care who you are. Like if I see you, I'm like gonna like frown at you type shit, you know, because that's just how I'm feeling. I'm tired. I don't want to do anything. I just want to go back to fucking sleep. You know, so if you're sad or angry or this and that, you know, like feel that 100%, but like do it in such a way that you're not harming other people.
Yeah, I can dig that. Yeah, and I feel like that's something that I was trying to preach back in high school, and I feel like I've kind of lost my ways just because like we were surrounded by that stuff every day. Like it was so dope. Like I loved senior year, like just talking to you guys like every day. Like we had the whole group chat and shit, you know, just everybody talking about life and just everything that was going on in the universe at the time. But, you know, I think that that's something that I'm trying to get back into, but, you know, I think that I've been learning to kind of just have these conversations with people and like get them to talk about these fucked up topics and everything and like see their viewpoint on it, and just kind of like interject my thoughts and opinions on it, and like I'll always preach that positivity, and then like if they want to spew something negative, I'll be like, hey bro, like I respect what you're saying, but like I think that you should think about it maybe this way, and then like if they're like, oh shit, like I didn't think about it that,
and that's why I really like the title of your podcast too. It's like called The Truth. It doesn't have to be good, it doesn't have to be bad, it could be either one, but it's just the truth. You know, these are like real life things that I'm feeling, that other people are feeling, you know, like maybe other people can relate to it, you know, like even you can relate to some of these things that I'm talking about. You know,
and
that's
I think
is.
That's like something that, you know, you have to realize that not everybody is going to think the same. Not everybody is going to act the same. Like, people are just, we're all different, but we're all made the same. We're all humans, you know? So it's like, I have to respect that this person over here, he's going to have a different opinion than me. This girl right here, she might have the same opinion as me, and that's cool. But it's like, you know, it's not going to shy me away from, like, getting somebody on the podcast because, like, they fuck with Donald Trump or like whatever. It's like, you know, I can respect, like, hey bro, if you want to do that, you do you over there, we're gonna have a conversation, and you know, it's not gonna kind of affect me anymore, because it's just like it's kind of a tough thing, because it's like if they hate who I'm about, then that's kind of where I draw the line.
Well, at the same time though, if you're able to talk to the hateful person and be the one to change their mind,
that's
holy
like the biggest
shit,
key,
dude.
bro. That's
you know what you have
key.
just done? It, you know, like, it may not seem like a big deal or whatever, but like I had a psychology professor, you know, he used to talk with the KKK people, you know, he's black, you know, like,
that's crazy.
He's really proud of that kind of shit, you know. He's like, I was able to stop these people from like being racist, you know. I made them my friend because I was able to just talk to them.
Well,
you know,
I think that, you know, a lot of people, they don't really realize like what they're saying, because it's either their parents have raised them that way, or, you know, like,
it's all a reflection of the self.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's something weird, bro. I don't know how to even explain it. It's just, you know, some people just have a lot of hate in their hearts and everything, and they don't even know that it's hate, but it's like, you know, it's coming off in a weird way, and it's like, I think that there is like a way to think in society that is correct, but, you know, you don't always have to hit on every single correct thing in society. And I think that's what makes the world go round, you know. Like, obviously there's going to be some hateful people out there, but, you know, if you're going to be all hateful all the time, then that's something that I don't want in my life. But, you know, I'm going to respect you if you just do you over there, I'm going to do me over here. And that's all that I can really do. So, you know, but we'll get into some other questions here for you though, brother. What is your dream graphic design project? Like, if you had somebody hit you up in the DMs or an email or some shit, it could be like an artist, like, I know you'd be fucking with Frank Ocean and like all this stuff, like, what would be like the dream project for you?
That's really hard, honestly. Like,
let it sit, bro. Let it marinate, you know?
Man, that is really difficult. Just any artist that I fuck with, you know, they're like, yo, I've seen your work. I want you to do like a cover art for me or this and that. Yo, that would be insane. Like, there's really nobody in particular that would just be like.
Who are like your favorite artist right now?
Right now, shit. There's this. Okay, so like for instrumentals, there's this person named like Patsu. Okay. You know, it's like more of that like lo-fi, you know, old school type shit. Yeah. And then there's Tierra Whack. I've just been really fucking with Tierra Whack a lot lately. Like, these past few weeks, she's just been dropping one song after you know, after another, and I'm just like, yo, that shit is fire. That shit is so good. I'm really trying to think. Little Sims as well. She's an MC from the UK. She just dropped an album, Gray Area. Okay. Highly recommend everybody check it out. It's so good. Ashy Meat, I would say. Ashy Meat, you know, that's some local shit. You know, I'm always bumping. I'm always bumping his stuff, bro. Like, I swear to God, bro. Like, Ashy Meat is like one of the most original and just characteristic people that I've not really spent a lot of time with him, like, personally, but you can just hear it in his songs, you know, like cartoonistic, personality. And,
he's not afraid to like show his personality.
He's really not. He be saying like crazy shit. Like what was that song? Like, she want dick, not a wedding ring. Like, what the fuck? Who comes up with that shit, dude? But it's just like
crazy.
Ashley Meat comes up with that shit. Those are the type of people that like, or type of artists that like I really like flock to, because I'm like, yo, this is like the shit I was listening to in middle school. The Odd Future type shit. Stuff that nobody else wanted to listen to, but eventually caught on. Like, I'm gonna say it right here. I put all the white people onto fucking Odd Future at Callahan, bro.
Shout them out.
I'm gonna just say that right now.
That's
crazy. Yeah, I would just say like those names that I just mentioned are really the only ones that I can really like come up with. Like, there would be some people or like some artists that come up in the rotation and I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna keep this on. Like 6'4", or like 6'4", like Volume 1, man. I'm still bumping that shit to this day, and I'm like, dude, it's fucking incredible. Like, it's awesome. That's like super literally dope, shit. I'm really trying to think of more people that like I listen to. I don't know where the fuck my phone's at, but
shout out to all the artists.
Damn, that's hard. I'm gonna have to like fucking like come up with like a list and like put it out there of like who I think people should just be checking out.
Bro, there's so many people. There's so many people out there that are just grinding in the city, man, and I think that's super dope to see it, because like, I always see like, I think that it's super dope that right now in our city, like, we're all like retweeting and sharing out each other's work, and like, that is what I think this community needs, is like just everybody just sharing out and just showing love, because I don't know what it is, like everybody is kind of, a couple years ago everybody was like too hostile and they felt like, oh, this is only me that should be doing this, yada yada, and it's like, bro, you gotta respect that everybody can do your art form, like, so, you don't own the shit, so it's like,
I'll admit that like I don't feel like I own graphic design or whatever. Like, I'm obviously not the first one, I'm not gonna be the last one to ever do this thing, but I'll admit that there's like, I'm very selective about like who I not really like support, but like who I like retweet or like and shit. Like, if I'm just not feeling your shit, I'm not gonna retweet or like it, but I'm gonna support what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a bunch of artists that like, yo, like maybe like morally or personally I may not agree on a lot of shit, but like, yo, I'm not gonna knock the fact that they like made it to like another fucking city or whatever. That they're getting money. Like, if you have more money than me, then I can't say shit. I can't say shit. You know what I'm saying? But like, like, me not retweeting your shit is not really gonna hurt you or whatever. But I do agree though, like, back to your point, that like, if we just swallowed our pride and just be like, yo, just like help a homie out, you never know who's gonna like see this or whatever,
or like give that energy back to you later, that's kind of something that I've been learning too. But that's something that I've been trying to do too, is like separate people's morals from their art too, because I think that like, especially with people like Kanye West and shit, it's like, it's kind of hard because Kanye was literally like preaching the opposite of like him liking Donald Trump now. Yeah, like,
I was listening to Watch the Throne the other day, and like the song New Day, that came up, and he's talking about like, this is when he didn't have a son, you know what I mean? And then just like thinking like, would he tell Saint the same shit now? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That he was saying in those songs before, like, just like all this shit that he was talking about before,
But
like,
that man has gone absolutely insane. Kanye, if you want to be on the podcast, bro, I'd love to get you on. But he's just been saying a lot of crazy stuff as of late, and I think that I still respect his music, I still love his music, all this stuff, but it's like, some of the stuff that he's
the climate saying, now is just like, it's really interesting, like this whole like cancel culture and like I guess if you can just call it that, cancel culture. Like, I mean, there's like little shit that people shouldn't be like canceled over, you know what I mean? It's like whatever, this and that, and it's like, there are people that you definitely should be canceling. Like, fuck R. Kelly, bro. I'm gonna say it right now. Like, fuck R. Kelly. I don't care what you say, but it's hard, like, where do you draw the line with that kind of shit, like, it's tough.
Cigarettes on cigarettes, my mama.
Chance the Rapper, bro.
You dig, bro? Chance I haven't heard that song in a fat minute, bro. That's
honestly
crazy. Bro, we'll get everything kind of kicked back in real quick, but Yeah, so dream graphic design project, you don't feel like there's anything that really sticks out? If there was an artist that hit you up, you just feel like you'd do it?
A few names that came up, honestly, as we were just, like, talking, like, I can just think of right away. Tyler, the Creator, is just, like, number one inspiration for everything that I do. You know, he kind of helped, like, in middle school, he kind of helped me, like, develop the personality in a sense where it's just, like, yo, don't be afraid to take risks, don't be afraid to be yourself, you know, or, like, be different, or, like, weird, or whatever, you know, like, I feel like he really represents, like, the weird kids, you know, like, quote-unquote, but definitely, like, he would be my dream collaboration kind of thing, or, like, a dream commission, you know, like, I would love to do something for, like, Golf with Floor, or whatever, you know, like, I would love to, like, make his cover art, or this and that, you know, like,
that would be super dope.
Yeah,
I can see that vibe through your work too. Like, I feel like that would just be like the dream collab. Like, for me, seeing your work too, for some reason, like, I just feel like that would just
I love
just
colors.
fit in. Yeah.
I just love
that's
you know
your thing.
vibrant,
like, I can just
you know,
tell.
colorful type shit. You know, like I don't like making anything really dull and stuff like that. I love, you know, figuring out how different colors work together and stuff like that. How do they contrast? Like I said before. You know, like, all that shit matters, you know, like, color schemes matter and stuff, so I've just been trying to experiment with different stuff, and then sometimes I just go back to what works, you know, like, it may be the, you know, same thing, or, like, same type of thing that I've done before, but people can tell, oh, Kevin did that, you know, because, like, that's my style, if that makes sense.
I can dig it, bro, I can dig it, and I can see it in your work, and I respect the fuck out of it, and whenever I see it, I'm like, ooh, Kevin put on some more heat right now, shit, that shit's going crazy. But we kind of just touched on, do you feel like you have any other inspirations? Because I was going to ask you, like, who or what is kind of the inspiration to do what you do?
Oh, yeah, I was waiting for this question low-key, because, like, I draw inspiration from everything.
Yeah. I feel like that happens as an artist. Like, I don't even consider you just a graphic designer. Like, I consider you, like, an artist of, like, whatever
like,
you want to do, you can do it.
You know, so obviously all the musical influences that I just named off, like, even just, like, toys, you know, I draw inspiration from toys, or even, like, over there's, like, some pop, like, Funko Pops and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, they have turned something so simple into this, like, like, million or, like, even billion-dollar, like, industry, you know, like, just how that shit works, you know, architecture and stuff like that. Like, why is my house the way it's set up, you know, because, like, if you do it a different way, your house might break apart or whatever, you know, like, just how things work, the science of things, you know, just like how everything flows together. That is really inspirational to me. Pro wrestling, man. I've been fucking hooked since I was like
to WWF,
like
dig.
7, you know, like when I was like 7 years old, you know, I've been hooked ever since, you know, and then like when I learned like that it was like quote unquote fake or whatever, or like scripted, that's when I really started to respect it more and see it as an art form, because like you gotta trust the other person that you're working with.
Bro,
it's not like working. It's not people working against each other. It's people working together. You know, like I can't drop you on your fucking head, or you literally could die. Bro, you know, like it's really an art form, and like there's different types of matches too. You know, quick, fast pace. You know, cruiserweight matches or whatever. Rey Mysterio type matches, or like slow, methodically paced. You know, Bret Hart type matches and shit like that. You know.
And then like the swagger of those dudes too, like Shawn Michaels way back in the day, his swagger was unmatched. Man.
Literally, dude, like
God.
You know,
Buddy like would walk down to the floor naked, like with only a title belt around his crotch and shit. Like that shit just goes.
Like
nuts,
everybody
bro.
in 3rd grade at least, or like in elementary school, was doing the DX like cross chop, bro. Like at least like. Everybody has gotten in trouble for, you know, doing that shit and stuff like that. And it's like, whatever, you know, I'm just saying, like, suck it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a catchphrase or whatever, you know. But what I really enjoy about wrestling in particular is how larger than life some of these people are. Especially, like, you know, the people that we grew up watching, you know, like Undertaker and Kane. Bro. I really thought that man was a dead man, you know, they really made you believe. And, you know, I feel like in wrestling that's kind of like a lost art form. You know, making people believe that it's real, even though obviously it's not, you know, but...
Well, it's acting, though, basically. Like, you still gotta respect it, and, like, I respect the fuck out of it. Like, you can't fake somebody jumping off, like, a 40-foot ladder type shit.
And it's not even just that, you know, like, it goes back to the entrances and stuff like that, you know? It goes to...
that persona,
crowd reaction. It goes to, you know, like there's a lot of graphic design shit, you know, involved in
Mhm.
wrestling, you know, t-shirt designs and
Yeah.
stuff like that, you know, like,
Bro, that shit's so
flyers
crazy.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that, you know, just
I
the
haven't
lighting,
even, like, thought
everything,
about it, like,
all of
all
that,
the way
you know,
into
like,
the art form piece, but you do rise some, like, interesting points with that shit. Because, like, oh my god, like, I was so hooked with that shit. Like, I don't know why I really stopped watching it, but it was a dope way to, like, pass the time, you know, and just, like, get invested into a show and, you know, just watch, like, the pay-per-views and all this stuff, you know.
It's, like, one of my guilty pleasures now, because, like, I definitely will have some people, like, who are watching this or whatever and be like, oh, this guy's a fucking nerd or whatever.
Yeah,
this
bro,
and that.
but,
But like, I don't care.
bro,
Y'all be watching Naruto and shit like that.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
what
like,
I'm
whatever,
saying,
you know,
bro. Like, I'm trying
I
to
grew
get...
up with that, you know. I got
Yeah.
inspired by that as well, you know, like cartoons, toys, you know.
Yeah.
I'm really, like, I'm still a child, bro. Like,
Bro,
hands
I'm
down,
with
like,
the
I'm
shits
still a
too,
child
man.
at heart, you know, like,
Mhm.
I just, anything that really captures my eye or is just, like, interesting to me, you know, I
Yeah.
draw inspiration from that.
But I feel like it's coming back into style almost. Like, we got the fucking
Like, nostalgia?
Jonas Brothers
Like,
coming
nostalgia
back and shit.
is such a fucking good selling point.
Yeah, exactly.
That it's just like, we know that we're shifting into a different generation with all this technological advancements and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and we're just trying to awaken each other in like different ways, you know, whether
Yeah.
that's spiritually, this whole like vegan, this like pro-vegan movement, you know, just trying to capture everything that like happened in the 90s or whatever, you know, trying to bring that back and like add a new style to it, you know, like
Yeah.
I feel like we all know things are changing, things are coming, things are going, you know, so like nostalgia is just something that like we can all rely on, you know, because it's like it's kind of timeless in a sense, you know, that like holy shit, the Jonas Brothers are doing a thing. Hannah Montana is not rapping, like thank God, like, you know, like
factual.
Like,
but I get what you're saying though, because like I feel like the nostalgia thing, like I always see it like throughout my timeline or whatever, especially in like photos or whatever. Like a lot of people add like grain or, you know, like the distortion from like old film cameras and shit, you know, and you probably can like relate to that being graphic design.
Dude,
like you just that's like the vibe that everybody kind of likes. I don't know what it is. It's just it's visually appealing, but you know, maybe back like 40 years ago that probably wasn't even cool. It was just like
the thing.
Yeah,
it was just like the norm.
It was like, oh shit.
But you know, I just think nostalgia is, you know, like it kind of fills a void. It fills a void, you know, that we're kind of missing. Like, oh, I miss my childhood, or like I miss when like MySpace used to be a thing, or like you know, like Lil Wayne was having motherfuckers wearing skinny jeans, or like you know, Wiz Khalifa, you know, making everybody wear Chuck Taylors and stuff like that. Like
black and yellow.
People don't understand how influential, you know, like old shit is until it's gone. You know, you never know what you're missing until it's gone, type shit.
Yeah.
And that's why nostalgia is a really powerful thing.
Yeah. It's a huge selling point too, especially in today's world. And you know, I've been like watching a lot of like Dragon Ball Z and shit again, and you know, just like
I still play Pokemon, bro.
Yeah,
like,
bro, I just played before I came here, bro.
I will literally buy every single Pokemon game that fucking comes out until like the day I die. You know what I'm saying? Like,
do that. I'm gonna need to do that. I can only really get with the ones that I was playing as a kid though, like Fire Red and like Leaf Green and like all that shit. But, you know, much past that, I could really give a shit less. But those are my faves, and I'll play those till the day I die. I
Absolutely.
swear. Man, that shit's crazy. Getting into some of the closing questions here for you though, brother. Tell me, what is there any future plans that you got coming or anything?
Literally all I want to do is open up my own social club.
Word.
If that kind of makes sense.
Word.
Not like copying exactly what they're doing, but just like opening up a space, you know, a community space where the youth can really get free, especially like youth that may not have all the resources that they have, you know, like we live in the so-called ghetto. I don't even really consider it a ghetto, but it's not like West Des Moines. It's definitely not like the rich part of like the Drake neighborhood or whatever, this and that.
But I feel like Des Moines is growing so much that like, you know, I feel like a lot of the older houses like have character. Like I live in an older house, you know, and it's like a lot of my teachers and like a lot of my friends are like getting houses over in the Drake neighborhood and everything. It's just like I love these houses that are over here, you know. It's just like they just speak a different, it speaks to me, you know what I mean? It speaks to my vibe. Like I really give a shit less about like the houses that are made like over in West Des Moines, because like they're built in like a summer maybe. So like, but these houses, it took them years to build, you know what I mean? So it's like I don't know what it is, but it really just speaks to me, and it speaks to the vibe that I like. But
yeah, like speaking on that, like it may like carry some kind of significance to you, but like it carries a significant difference for me. Whereas like I've seen my neighbor's house get burned down. There's like there's a house on the corner that nobody has like lived in fucking forever. I think somebody died in it, to be honest.
No shit.
I'm gonna just keep it real with you.
Damn.
But it goes back to the point of like the community, like them, kids especially not having all the resources that they need. I want to open up my own space so they can feel safe, so they have shelter, they have food, they have, like freedom of expression, what I'm saying? Like I want to paint all the walls,
That's
like
a beautiful thing, man.
Make like murals or whatever, put a skate park in that bitch, just so video game room, all the shit that I love, just I want to put it all together, all under one roof or all under one space or whatever, and shit like that, like that's literally the number one goal, and just to keep traveling the world. I want to have friends in different places, I want to, like, I feel like we are really limited if we stay in one spot. Whether that be in Iowa, you're limiting yourself if you're not expanding out to like a different state or whatever, just to see how they live. You're not really like, there's so much out there in the world that we just don't know about, and it's done differently in different places. Like.
Well, and I think that traveling's like a very key thing. Not only like just to have those experiences, but like have those experiences also change you into the person that you are. Like I've been to places like Haiti, and like that is just like a totally different vibe to what it is now. Like there was a bunch of dudes that were like they're just hardcore hustlers, bro, and like I respected the fuck out of it. Like they would create these like shot glasses out of wood or like wooden necklaces and stuff, and like they would come up to me and they would be like, "Hey, what's your name?" And I was like, "My name's Nico." And then Buddy would just start carving my name into a shot glass to like get me to buy it from him. I'm like, damn,
it's a really like get it how you live it kind of lifestyle in like third world countries. Like I've been to like Vietnam, dude. Totally life-changing experience. And like Vietnamese culture is like preserve everything.
Really,
it's all about the little things, bro, but they fucking matter. You better eat that rice to the last grain, whatever, because there's some people that they gotta like plant that
they,
shit.
They hand pick each piece of rice, don't they? Or how does it work?
It really depends. There's like different techniques and stuff like that. I'm not like really all into that. I just kind of let them do their magic. Especially like when they're cooking. Just like, holy fuck, dude! Like you're creating magic, literally. But
I'm gonna need to make it over there because I want to get like immersed into that culture too. I just
like when I went, I believe I technically have like an uncle who is like not too much older than me, but he was like selling duck eggs on the beach. Like you gotta do that shit just to survive, bro. Like there's some kids that don't even go to school. Like my dad said, if I can be a little bit candid, he went to school up until 2nd grade. And then he had to work.
Damn.
Think about that.
That's just
Think
crazy.
About
like
that.
How
that would never be allowed here.
That's crazy.
Absolutely
how different
not.
Our lives are from them too, man. It's like, I don't know, like, and I feel like a lot of like the people that we went to school with, they're just like, fuck school. Like I don't want to come here. Like all this shit, and like a lot of people they come over here to go to school because it's free, like all this stuff, and it's like, damn, like we don't even value that shit, and just like the morals and the values are so different around the world. Like as you travel,
I feel like I'm so in between with that too, because like I'm obviously an Asian American. You know what I mean? Like my parents are like, you gotta go to school, you gotta get good grades, you gotta do your homework, all this and yada yada yada, and then I start seeing the flaws in the American education system. I'm like, yo, fuck this shit. I don't want to be here. Like my last year, at Hoover, I was not there at all. I was like, I was at Central. Because I'm like, I don't want anything to do with this place. And like, like I remember in the last podcast, Jevi was like, I love Hoover, this and that. And I'm like, yo, I love the people from there, some of them, but it just wasn't the place for me always, like, shout out Mr. Avery, shout out Mr. Neidel and stuff like that. But like, man, it was crazy. It got to the point where I related more to the teachers than I could the other students,
I feel that, bro. And I feel like there's something about the Central kids, too. Like, we all just kind of get along. I don't know. Like, I spent a little bit of time there, but you obviously were there, like, all the time. But I don't know. It's like people just kind of just click there. It's some weird. I don't know if it's because, like, we haven't grown up with each other the entire parts of our lives.
I feel like there was more options, and that allowed people to really be themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got the marine bio kids who are just like, I just love fish. I love like learning about all these like crazy stuff. And I'm like, yo, that's tight. You have the criminal justice kids. You have the urban leadership, graphic design, photography. There's just so many options and so many things that like like Hoover. The one thing I liked about Hoover is how diverse it was. Central Campus is able to. It's able to be as diverse because of just how many options and different things that you can be involved in and not be like ashamed for it.
Shit's dope. Yeah.
Like
Central Campus,
they don't have a sports team or whatever. Like, not to knock any like sports people or whatever. Like, we do sports, that's cool and all, but like, yo, there's definitely they get more attention than the art students do. Like the theater kids and this and that.
And that's what I really love representation. That. I really love that about Central too. Central is just a dope experience to have throughout high school. But that was super dope, man. Kev, getting into some of the other closing questions I have here for you though. What is one thing that you have to do in life? So when it's all said and done and you're sitting on your deathbed, what is that one thing that you have to say that you've done?
I gotta be a legend, bro. And I gotta carry a legacy. I gotta make people remember me for who I was and what I did. I want to be somebody that that helped others. You know what I mean? And like, I need help every single day, type shit. I say thank you. I say please. I say all these different things. Just like every single day. It's almost like a mantra. Like. I just want to do better for the world, like when I leave it and stuff like that. Like, that's really about it. It goes back to opening up that community center that I was talking about, and just doing shit that like people like Nipsey did, like I was just really thinking about him the other day, like especially because he passed. I'm like, yo, I didn't even listen to this dude's music like that, but I understood what he did for the community. That's powerful. It's beyond the music. It's beyond just graphic design for me, bro. Like, I want kids to know that you can freely express yourself. You can be whoever the fuck that you want to be.
Without any remorse.
Your pain, your sadness, all of that does not define who you are. Try to be better for yourself, and then try to be better for the sake of humanity. Absolutely. That's all I got.
Yes, sir. Last question for you here, brother. Something that I ask everybody that comes on the podcast. So you probably heard it, and I probably know what your answer is going to be, actually, but we're going to ask it. So I want you to imagine that I have a copy of the New York Times written right here, okay? So it's written from 10 years from now. There's a cover page, and it's a picture of you, and there's an article written about you. What is this a picture of, and what is written in this article?
Honestly, if I am walking again by that point, it wouldn't even matter to me. It would be me sitting in a throne.
Word.
You know what I'm saying?
Respect.
Like, I don't want to say that I'm a king or whatever, but it was just like a representation of just like more than what people see me as. People, like, obviously when you see me out in public, I'm in my wheelchair and stuff like that. But that doesn't define me. It just helps me get around. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm sitting in that throne, it's just like, damn, like he's just more than what he is. You know what I'm saying? He's more than what you guys see. And the article is just going to be talking about like whatever's going on like in my life, whatever like we're doing right now, just be as candid as that. I'll just be as honest as that, Who knows what's going to happen in 10 years? You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if I'm going to be alive, to be honest with you, not to like down anybody, but it's just like, you never know. You never fucking know.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Way
like,
too short,
10 years from now, I'll be 29 years old, bro.
That's just crazy.
Almost 30, you know?
That's
like,
crazy, like, how the decades, like, just defer. Like, thinking about, like, when I was 10 years old to now 20, and then in 10 years I'll be 30, like, how different the time frames of your life are. Just in, like, a short amount of time. Like, 10 years doesn't seem like it's that much, but for us, obviously, like, that's half of our lives.
And, like, the feel of that article, I would think would be like is exactly what it is right now, like as open and honest as can be, but as childish as can be.
Yeah.
You know, like 30 is still young. You know what I'm saying? Like 40 is still young if you have that young mindset. You know, you can be young forever.
Yeah, exactly, man.
You know, like
you're only as old as you feel, bro. You know, you gotta just like what you've been saying the entire podcast. You know, just don't feel sorry about being yourself. You know, you just gotta be yourself the entire time.
Absolutely.
But Kev, where can everybody find you on social media and all that stuff? If you want to shout some people out, now's the time to do that.
Okay, you can just follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Kevneezy. You know, KEVKNEEZY. Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. You know, that's the two main things that I'll be working on. Facebook, I mean, you can add me, Kevin11. I try not to use it as much because I feel like it doesn't serve a purpose for me.
Really?
Well, it does serve a purpose, but like, you know, just like shit I see on it and the amount of support I get on there, it's just like whatever. It's like my burner account type shit.
I feel that. I respect that.
And honestly, just shout out to everybody who's, you know, a young visionary, young artist, whoever's out here doing the thing, traveling the world, living your dream. Shout out, man. Like, I see everybody, you know what I mean? And like, I'm proud of everybody. Like, I'm proud of myself. I just want everybody to win type shit, you know? Even if we don't see eye to eye on everything.
Absolutely.
Collectively, I want to see us all win. That's it.
Snaps that. Kev, I appreciate you for opening up your home to me and, you know, just allowing me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast, man.
Brother.
I absolutely love what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, we dove into a lot of stuff today. We talked about a lot of stuff about Kevin's story. And, you know, we just talked about the main points of the podcast basically is like, you know, just don't apologize for being yourself. Basically, that's kind of what I've taken away from it. You know, just be who you are unapologetically and just keep it moving. And if people like you, they'll like you. If they don't like you, fuck them. Who cares? But ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's podcast. My name is Neekrobinsonn. This is Kevin11 over here.
But you can live pretty well by yourself.
People with everything.
Shit.
I tell you.
Not really. I feel that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here.
Solitude.
Peace.